Picture this. It's a hot July night in 1976. You've got over 100 hostages trapped in an airport terminal, surrounded by terrorists and the army of a brutal dictator. Their government is thousands of miles away, facing a truly impossible choice. What happened next would go down in history as one of the most audacious, most legendary rescue missions ever attempted, one that would change the rules of counterterrorism forever. And let's start with a number, because this number is at the heart of the whole story: 4,000 kilometers. To put that in perspective for you, that's roughly the distance from New York City all the way to Los Angeles. And that's how far the rescuers had to fly, completely in secret, just to have a shot. This wasn't some simple rescue mission. No, this was a long-range airborne invasion of a hostile nation.
And this really frames the entire crisis, right? It's not just a question of military strategy, it's a moral one. This was the test that Israel was facing. How do you weigh the lives of your citizens against the insane risk of failure, diplomatic disaster, and maybe even all-out war?
All right, so let's rewind and go back to the beginning. The whole story kicks off not with some grand military plan, but with an act of sheer terror, high in the skies over Europe. It all started as a completely routine flight. On June 27th, Air France Flight 139 leaves Tel Aviv, makes a quick stop in Athens, and it's on its way to Paris. But, shortly after taking off from Greece, bam, the plane is taken. And its new destination was something nobody could have predicted. The hijackers didn't go to a familiar Middle Eastern capital. No, they forced the plane south to Entebbe, Uganda. And this is a huge deal. See, Uganda in 1976 was ruled by the infamous, terrifying dictator Amin. His regime was known for its unbelievable brutality and unpredictability, which made Entebbe the perfect, isolated stage for a high-stakes hostage crisis. So who were these attackers? Well, it was a chilling alliance, kind of typical of the international terrorism you saw in the 1970s. You had militants from the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine working hand-in-hand with far-left German extremists from the revolutionary cells. This just goes to show you, this wasn't some local conflict. This thing was global. So as the hostages are herded into Entebbe's old, dusty terminal building, the whole crisis enters a brand new, terrifying phase. And back in Israel, the government is staring down a dilemma where every single option is bad. And then they did something that sent an absolute shockwave around the world. The hijackers started separating the passengers. They eventually released the non-Israeli and non-Jewish hostages, but forced all the others to stay behind. This act of selection had these horrible echoes of the darkest times in history, and it made it terrifyingly clear what was really at stake. So here's the brutal calculation they had to make. Do you negotiate? I mean, it might save lives right now, but it also sends a message to every other terrorist group that hijacking works. Or do you launch a military strike? A strike could end the threat for good, but if one tiny thing goes wrong, one mistake, every single hostage could be killed. There is just no easy, risk-free answer. After days of intense, agonizing debate and scrambling for intelligence, the decision was finally made. They would not negotiate. They were going in. The mission was given a code name, Operation Thunderbolt. And the man chosen to lead the assault on the ground was Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Netanyahu, known to everyone as Yoni. He was the commander of Sayeret Matkal, Israel's most elite special forces unit. Disciplined, intense, and deeply respected, he was about to lead his men on one of the most daring missions ever conceived. The plan itself was just, well, it was breathtakingly audacious. It was broken down into 4 critical phases. First, that secret 4,000-kilometer flight. Second, and this is the now famous part, the deception. They used a black Mercedes that looked exactly like Idi Amin's to create a few crucial seconds of confusion. Third, the violent, lightning-fast assault on the terminal. And finally, getting all the hostages out while taking fire from Ugandan soldiers. The success of this entire mission hinged on 2 things: speed and surprise. And get this, from the moment the first plane's wheels touched down to the moment the last one took off with the rescued hostages, the entire operation on the ground took just 53 minutes. Think about that for a second. Less than an hour to land, attack a terminal, neutralize the hijackers, fight off a foreign army, and rescue over 100 people. Just incredible. The mission was, without a doubt, a stunning tactical success. But that success came at a very heavy price, and it created a legacy that is both triumphant and tragic. During the chaotic firefight with Ugandan troops, Yoni Netanyahu was shot. He was killed. He was the only Israeli military fatality of the entire operation. His death instantly transformed this amazing victory into a story of national sacrifice, forever linking the mission's success with his own personal loss. And the cost wasn't just military. One of the hostages, an elderly woman named Dora Bloch, had been taken to a hospital in the capital city before the raid. She wasn't at the terminal when the commandos arrived. After the Israeli forces left, she was dragged from her hospital bed and murdered by Ugandan authorities in retaliation. Her story is just a brutal, heartbreaking reminder that not everyone was saved. So why does Entebbe still matter so much today? Because it completely rewrote the book on what was possible. It proved that a nation could project its power clear across a continent to save its people. It became the ultimate case study for special forces units all over the world, emphasizing just how crucial detailed intelligence, speed, surprise, and a willingness to violate another country's sovereignty are when civilian lives are on the line. And that leaves us with this final, really difficult question. Entebbe was a spectacular success, no doubt, but it was also a direct violation of another nation's territory. It forces us to ask, where is the line? When is it justified? And maybe more importantly, who gets to draw that line? The legacy of Entebbe isn't just a military victory. It's a moral and legal debate that's still very, very much alive today.